clearly outnumber the boys in the class, but hey, well done. And of course, the PM, the Prime Minister, tours the UE Debe campus as rehabilitation begins. That's the South Campus there, University of the West Indies, and I believe they're going to put the law fraternity there and a couple other faculties. I know there's lots of discussion concerning the facility. At least it's not going to be under Bush and Iguana and Manikou anymore and just there wasting away. At least we're seeing some progress. And you see, that's my problem. Huh? Sometimes there is always that division in division. If there's something that could work for the country, I hope that whoever's at the head, whoever's at the helm, will continue with the plan. That project was sitting there for about 9, nearly 10 years, nothing happening, and now more money have to spend to bring it back to a place of readiness for it to be fit for purpose. But that's a different story. I'll stick a pin on that one. For now, let's take the break and get into a very important conversation. From now straight up until 7 o'clock, Penelope Beckles will join me, Member of Parliament, Opposition Leader, and Political Leader of the People's National Movement. She's up next.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
At the castle, we just love moms.
I love you, Mommy.
And this Mother's Day, we are cooking up a storm with lots of tasty food. So forget about cooking. Let us fix dinner with a popular family meal. And lunch is a breeze with a snack box and the fish, chicken, and veggie sandwich combos. Oh yeah, and we've got the chicken and wing buckets, plus rotisserie meals, and of course, delicious sides. And it's all cooked with our nice local seasonings. So take a break and enjoy. Happy Mother's Day from Royal Castle.
Name something that people stick their noses into.
The apple bucket, like bobbing for apples.
Where did that answer come from? In the apple bucket.
I've always wanted to be a mom. Always wanted to plan when it was going to happen.
What's wrong?
I'm pregnant. I haven't told Andrew yet.
You're not thinking about getting back together with him.
If you need me, I'm just a phone call away, okay?
Doesn't it bother you not having a plan?
Life's got a way of showing you what your next move's gonna be.
Season 2 of Sullivan's Crossing. Only on CNC3.
Welcome back as we get into a very important discussion with the political leader of the People's National Movement and also Member of Parliament and Opposition Leader Penelope Beckles. She joins me live on set this morning in a most, I would say, crucial moment. We have seen a major breach, MP, in what, at least for me in my lifetime, would have been, I mean, obviously the 1990 coup was a major moment and a turning point in the country's history. But what we have seen, and based on some of the preliminary reports, might have been some work from on the inside to pull off such a most unfortunate act. And we have seen where there is a loss of not only a woman police constable, but a mother, a sister, a niece, a daughter in Officer Eversley. That what we saw there on Sunday was a major breach of the national security apparatus. Your particular perspective on that development, and more so the state of emergency and its effectiveness, because all this happened under the umbrella, Mrs. Beckles, in a state of emergency. So, of course, welcome. Great to see you.
Always happy to be here.
Yes, indeed. And I look forward to our discussion. Yes. We have lots to discuss this morning.
Yes. Well, I mean, look at The Guardian this morning, okay? And what it tells us is that the state of emergency has failed the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Now, you would recall that when the government originally, came to the public and came to the parliament, we supported the extension. But on the last occasion, we did not support it. And we did not support it because we were very clear in our minds that when you're addressing crime, a state of emergency is not a crime plan. And the public understands clearly it's not a crime plan. It requires a multi-pronged approach, and that is the issue. The government does not have a multi-pronged approach. And what the public needs to remember is this is consistent. In other words, they came into office during the period 2010 to 2015. And you would recall, same thing. As soon as they came into office, state of emergency. And yes, when you look at the data at the time and you compare 2011 to 2010, as they are doing now, you look at the murder rate, and you look at the murder rate 2025, 2024, yes, you're going to see a drop. Because the state of emergency, police has additional powers, you have restrictions in terms of the members of the public, but at the end of the day, where has it left us? I mean, anyone looking at that newspapers would ask itself, what is going on in Trinidad? Because what other powers you need to give the police? And if you just allow me just very quickly. So the Zoso bill. In other words, they were saying to us, state of emergency, apparently not working. You want the Zoso bill, which is special zones of operation. But then, if the Commissioner of Police and the government can say to us that in effect, you have 500 criminals in Trinidad and Tobago that are impacting on 1.4 million people. What does it say? It says the police are aware. If you could give us the exact data, and not only that, they can tell us where it is. Because listen, the public knows. Every time you go, somebody is killed, oh, he was known to the police. He had a matter before the court. Very rare when someone is arrested. The police doesn't know who these people are. So the question is, what they need to tell us, what else you need to do for the public to feel safe that you are really in control as it relates to dealing with crime.
Well, I guess the argument would have been, Ms. Beckles, that the Zoso bill would have given the authorities a targeted approach in certain areas to lock the areas in, because obviously we're hearing that what transpired on Sunday, MP Gonzalez was here yesterday, your colleague, he would have said, he said to myself and the audience that based on this most unprecedented act, I guess if he was at the helm, he would have locked the whole of South and Central, which in a way kind of goes back to what the Zoso bill would have been, or at least the intention. But I know obviously there was certain clause, and the independent senators wanted amendments made.
And the opposition.
And opposition, obviously, and it was not supported. What's your take on that lockdown scenario? Is the opposition in support of a curfew?
Well, at this time, if the government comes and they justify it, we always consider, it's not a question where you're just going to say we're not supporting, because that is not our position. As a matter of fact, you would recall that when I was appointed as a leader of the opposition, I made it abundantly clear that we are willing to sit with the government. I said it then, I'm saying it now, I've said it several times, because the public really wants to see government and opposition come together to deal with crime, because crime is not only the responsibility of the government and the opposition. You have the churches, you have the family, education ministry, several people. It is not the exclusive domain, but of course, as it relates to the government is leading the way. But it's important for us to recall two things. One, in that 2010 to 2015 period, they had a state of emergency. They locked up 10,000 people. And when you look at the data, I mean, not even 5% of the people eventually were convicted. As a matter of fact, it's millions of dollars that the government ended up paying, taxpayers' money. And go back to this recent state of emergency where you had these designated areas. So they went down to Tetron. That's where everybody said, well, I mean, they actually said to you, we know who the people are. You know, they are targeting the judges, they are targeting ministers of government. So these people were locked away. I mean, state of emergency ends. Almost everybody's released. So they can't be serious. So it's not just a question of designation of an area, it's a question of utilization of modern technology, because you are saying to the public, we know where these people are. Okay, so you have the designation and you lock down people. But that's not good enough.
And what about, I would imagine, the guards guarding the guard? Because if indeed, based on the preliminary reports, this is, from what the Prime Minister said, more or less like an inside job, as it were, paraphrasing here, that brings even more concern, because you wonder...
You don't know what's going on in your own house. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, and what you think could be done from your level, of course, in tandem with government, opposition, and the administration, to ensure that we really take the rogue elements out of the system, because, I mean, there are rogue elements all over. And when we look at the national security apparatus, we can't just pinpoint TTPS. We have to look at Customs, Coast Guard. I mean, all the arms, from the administrative level to those who execute the duties on the ground. What could be done from that level to give us a better chance, as it were, when it comes to this crime fight?
Well, it's a number of things. I mean, your lie detector tests, the whole issue of having cameras, okay? And we understand
body cameras or just cameras?
Body cameras,
body cameras.
Both.
Yes.
Body cameras, because it is going to be, and it's not that you, from what I heard, that you didn't have cameras there, but obviously the person that was involved knew the area very well. So you recognize that as it relates to crime fight, and you can have two. You have two sets. One who don't know, who may not know the circumstances, and the others do. But you have to cater for both. So we must get to a stage where we are using the modern methods of policing. Body cameras, what you call real-time data, camera footage, and of course the link where people genuinely believe, the criminals believe, listen, if I get involved in a crime, not only are they going to hold me, but I'm going to jail. Because the recent data tells us that some of our cases are taking 10 and 20 years to go to court every single time, with the exception of a few cases. The police are saying, I know this person is known to me, and once you do the check, a lot of them have been involved in crime for years.
Look at a simple example, the Dina Sital case, there's no closure there even up to this day.
No closure.
And that happened so many years ago.
And if you recall that recently, Minister Sturge went in the parliament, and what did he say? He said the police knew. I mean, could you imagine telling the public that? The police knew, and they were listening, right? And was saying that took place when the PNM was in office. The PNM was not in office, the UNC was in office at the time. But if you tell the public that the police were listening and the police knew, what are you saying to the members of the public? You're really saying to the members of the public that not only were they negligent, but they were part of the process, and that is a very dangerous thing. And we don't know that, we know that you may have that from time to time, but at the end of the day, the public still depends on the police for their protection, for law enforcement, and to feel safe.
Speaking about the administration, do you think the Prime Minister's response to all of this is adequate?
Well, I mean, what is her response? First of all,
she would have put a message out online.
Yes, I was just repeating.
Of course,
what is her response? I mean, she was saying to the public, in essence, go about your business normal, because this happened in San Fernando under the municipal corporation. Now, I mean, that is what you call going from the sublime to the ridiculous. Because you are telling people, listen, that is a betrayal. Basically, that is an inside job. And it's worse, because it means that it is the police, and the public needs to be comforted, whether it's the SRP, whether it's municipal corporation, whether it is the police, we have a handle on crime. And you cannot tell the public very quickly, this is the situation, when now we are finding out police is involved, ammunition missing, the person is strangled, and the vault. I mean, clearly that there is. It means that the Prime Minister, who is the head of the National Security Council, obviously wasn't properly briefed. Or if she was properly briefed, she decided to simply say, the police will help the San Fernando City Corporation as it relates to the municipal police, and that is totally unsatisfactory. Somebody must be able to do an assessment and say that it was too easy for the police to access. Okay, and it is clear that she was alone. I mean, so they must be able to tell the public, give us some information, well, the way it is designed, because she was found the next morning. I mean, and if you recall in the interview, the police officer said, well, I think it was, how many people were there? I think it was 5, it was 7. Well, I mean, but that is worse, that all of that, that somebody could have been raped, strangled, all the ammunition taken, guns taken, and leave quietly. I mean, something is definitely wrong.
Last weekend was clearly one of the darkest for the year.
Yes.
Do you think it warrants an address to the nation by the Prime Minister?
Well, but the real issue is, where is the Prime Minister? Where is the Prime Minister? I mean, one would think that this situation where you have young Armstrong, you have Eversley, you have 4 people being killed in a motor vehicle, and it is not good enough for you, for just the Commissioner of Police. I mean, yes, he's doing his job and they have been making themselves available, but this calls for the presence of the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister cannot continue to govern using TikTok, WhatsApp, email, Facebook. That is not good enough. We want the Prime Minister to make herself available to the media. I'm here today. I mean, I'm sure you'll be quite happy if the Prime Minister comes and makes herself available, or the media. I mean, you don't have to be there every week, but I mean, oh gosh, once a month. But we haven't seen her addressing the public in that way since, as far as I recall, the month of June. I'm calling on the Prime Minister, please, we are in crisis. The country is in chaos. The public want to see you, they want to hear you, just as how when you were campaigning in 2025 last year and you made yourself available. When the UNC wins, everybody wins, promising, all these different things. And even in the budget debate, promise made, promise delivered. Where is the delivery on crime? Where are all these promises that you made? The Prime Minister needs to hold herself accountable. She needs to be visible. And as a leader of a country, you cannot hide behind TikTok and Facebook and WhatsApp. Cannot.
Indeed. What we'll do, I want to take a very quick pause, and we come back and we continue with lots of the different conversations with some of the major happenings within the news cycle. And by all means, I want you to stick around, because the opposition leader and Member of Parliament Penelope Beckles is here with us as we go until 7 o'clock. See you soon.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order.
Hey man, where are you? Okay. He said 5 minutes. Anyone want dessert? Maybe he's stuck at the office?
Surprise!
Not yet, Carl.
Bro, I'm literally at the altar right now.
Relax. I'm almost there.
We're like the friend who isn't always late.
You have the rings.
CG United. Good like that.
Period nights don't have to look like this. Move less, wake up to change. So change for a real night's sleep with Always Overnight. Its 3 times protection system absorbs, locks the fluid, and keeps it away from your skin. For protected nights without leaks. Always.
You can make your goals unfold, go get it. You can live your dream, join the team, let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should.
best life today with Rand Credit Union.
The gripping crime series Suspects comes to your screen. New episodes, new cases, from murders to missing persons, drug overdoses, and sex crimes. Raw, real, riveting. Suspects takes you inside the Metropolitan Police as they fight for justice in London. Don't miss Suspects, only on CNC3.
Penelope Beckles here with me on set as we treat with some of the major talking points, and unfortunately we find ourselves again having to dissect what's happening via crime and criminality. I know that certain empiricals are out and the data is in your hand there, and based on what you're seeing via the data, what is the plan of action, what you're seeing as a trend at this point in time?
Well, similar to the periods under a state of emergency, you will see a reduction. The question still arises, what happens after the state of emergency, and does the evidence tell us that maybe the police have changed their methodology? So if I could just quickly say, as it relates to murders 2025, 2026, so Port of Spain, 8, and this is between the period January to March 2025, 8 was reported, 1 detected. For the same period, January 2026, 7 reported, 1 detected. Southern, in 2025, 12 reported, 5 detected. For this period, January to March, 6, so you see a reduction of 6, 0 detected. If we go to the Northern Division, January last year to March, 10 reported, 3 detected. We come now to January to March 2026, a reduction by 2. 8 reported, 0 detected. And that is the trend, Central, last period, 12 reported, 1 detected. A reduction, 5, 1 detected. And if we go now to Southern area, 6, 2. And so that is the trend. So 68 last year for that period, January to March, now 64.
What does that particular data say to you?
Well, what it's saying to us is the detection. I mean, detection 1, 0, 0, 0, 3, 1. And so you have 64 January to March this year, 6 detected. Last year, 68 January to March, 23 detected. So I mean, this is the kind of data, because at the end of the day, people still want to know that these criminals are off the streets, that people have been arrested, people have been charged.
And then there's the human element, those who feel aggrieved, those who feel there is no justice, and they might want to take justice into their own hand because they find the wheels of the system are turning too slow. And that in itself brings up another major talking point as to the judicial system and what can be done from your standpoint in tandem with government to ensure that we have a faster process.
Yes, and so that there are two things. You have the detection, and of course then you're going to court. And if matters are taking 10 and 20 years, we know that there is a problem. So what can we do? Yes, the pieces of legislation were passed in terms of the Preliminary Inquiries Act, where you are eliminating the whole process in the magistrate's court, and you can get to the High Court much faster.
Yeah, so that the wheels turn much faster.
But whilst I think at the time, Ivor Archie, Chief Justice last year, gave a lot of data indicating that there's a lot more work in terms of the case management and so, but at the end of the day, we are still seeing that if you take that long, if your detection is that poor, and then the data also says that the conviction rate is as well less than 20%, then it means that the country is in serious trouble.
As we switch gears really fast, I just want to head across to Tobago to find out about the Tobago Council election on Sunday. Is all in place for a fair election?
Well, it's interesting that you ask about a fair election. I have no evidence that suggests anything else other than a fair election. It means from time to time you will have some hiccups, but as far as I know, all is in place. And I want to wish, of course, all the candidates
indeed
best of luck. And we are looking forward, having, of course, lost, the elections. We are looking forward to rebuilding and for the Tobago PNM to be back on track.
Indeed. And another development that we were looking at last week, especially via the news cycle, was with Senator Bates. Any particular decision in that regard? I know that she was taken off of the committee. I think she's going to be sent before the privileges, from what I understand. Well, she's taken off of the actual committee that were doing the probe for this particular investigation. But is there any decision made? Is there what's the opposition's position on that development that was very much a major talking point last week?
Sure. I mean, I was out of the country. I came back in yesterday. I have asked for a report. I will be meeting with Senator Bates this week because I believe, Senator Bates is an attorney, so am I. And you talked a while ago about a fair process. A fair process clearly means that you give somebody, they have the right to be heard, and if you make a decision, you make a decision with all the facts that is before you.
Indeed. So I guess we'll be given some more on that during the course of the week or the weeks ahead. Mm-hmm. In terms of the opposition's position, and of course, I guess speaking to the public and the engagements, and as you would have said, rightfully so, at the very start of your tenure, and you would have said also this morning that you're willing to work once it's in tandem, once it's in the right direction, as it pertains to certain plans. Is there anything at all that was brought forward that makes any sense? I know the Zozo was struck off. They're going to probably bring that back, and I guess hopefully if amendments are made, we could see if there is some kind of progress there. But since sitting there in the lower house, any particular plan would have come forward that the opposition could see themselves saying, you know what, we could get on track with this?
So far, the Zoso bill and this last extension of the state of emergency, those are pieces of legislation that we didn't support. Mm-hmm. But other than that, what the government has brought, the People's National Movement supported it. I am of the firm view that the issue still is one of technology, modernization of the services, as well as a multi-pronged approach. You spoke a while ago about sports. Let's use that as an example. We understand that you want to give young people some options. So you talk about sports, you talk about community policing, let's say that's for an example. You talk about the issue of unemployment. If you have literally sent home about 50,000 people, and it's not just the URP, it's not just the CPEP, but it's a number of persons on contract positions. A number of projects and programs started under the People's National Movement you have cancelled. So what has happened to the CCC? What has happened to all these, to YTEP, to MyLAT, to MyP? All of these programs where the young people were there, that program where you can go now and you get your training and you get into agriculture. All of those programs have been closed down. So where are these young people? And what has happened to all of these people? Because when you're talking about URP and you're talking about CPEP, you're talking about people on the ground, you're talking about the average person who are still able to pay their rent, to pay their mortgage, ensure that their children are going to school. You go in the market now on a Sunday and people telling you their goods are rotting. So, where is the government? Where is this caring government? Where is this Prime Minister who talked about loving her people, about consultation? All of these things are linked to crime. You can't separate it. Look at what's happening in the school. Is your decision simply to say put police in school? It's more than that. What about the counseling? Because it's difficult for a parent who has lost their jobs, and in some instances both mother and father. Sometimes in one household there could be as much as 3 persons who are no longer employed. What are you saying to the public, Prime Minister? What are you saying to those people who have lost their jobs? What alternatives are there? Because I can tell you that constituents come now. You go for pension, you go for disability, you go for social welfare, and it is just pure stress and rejection. In a lot of the offices, I could say, particularly in the Arima area and in further east and even in west, no social welfare officers to do interviews. People are waiting for 2 and 3 years for their pension. And even now, as it relates to payment, they took on a lot of people for Carnival, and people still haven't been paid. So you cannot just come and and make these promises and fool the people continuously, because it is going to cause a type of stress in the country that we are not going to be able to deal with.
In the couple seconds that remain, Ms. Beckles, I'll give you a chance to put in some closing remarks.
Yes, well, I mean, as a member of Parliament, as a leader of the opposition, I share the concerns of members of the public, because we know that crime is the #1 issue. But at the same time, it is not just the issue of crime, it is how the government is dealing with crime, how you are engaging with the public. You cannot send 50,000 people home. You cannot send CPEP and URP. You cannot be in the public and see all these spaces are not clean. You cannot close down Civilian Conservation Corps, all of these programs where young people are involved. People want to feel good about themselves. You want to be able to pay your bills. And then just last night we were discussing the whole landlord and tenant, where all these taxes, a fine of $250,000, if you don't register. So I want to say to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, it is important that you listen to what the government is saying and what the government is not saying. We as an opposition, we are going to continue going throughout the length and breadth of Trinidad, talking to the people, educating the people, also giving you our alternatives, giving you our vision as to what you can expect when the People's National Movement returns to office.
Ms. Beckles, thanks for being here this morning.
My pleasure.
It. All the best.
Thanks.
Indeed. We'll take a quick pause. And we come back. Dr. Fuad Khan joins me next, former Minister of Health under the United National Congress administration, and we're going to treat with the body disposal issue, and we'll just find out from Dr. Khan the protocols in that regard. A very important conversation ahead.
Ready to engineer your future? Join the Association of Professional Engineers of Trinidad and Tobago for the Technical Conference Tuesday, May 12th and Wednesday, 13th at the Hyatt Regency. Discover cutting-edge solutions shaping our Caribbean future. Hear from leading international, regional, and local experts with over 20 dynamic presentations. Engineers, students, professionals, this is your space. APET Technical Conference 2026. Sustainable, smart, and resilient.
Shop and save at PRW, the People's Company. Check us for all your computer and electronic needs. 65-inch TCL Smart TV, only $4,800. Get a HP laptop for $3,100. Epson All-in-One Ink Tank Printer, $1,799. Gaming cases from $299. Bluetooth Party Speaker, $2,500. Acer 19.5-inch Monitor, $799. Call PRW today.
I've always wanted to be a mom. Always wanted to plan when it was going to happen.
What's wrong?
I'm pregnant. I haven't told Andrew yet.
You're not thinking about getting back together with him.
If you need me, I'm just a phone call away, okay?
Doesn't it bother you not having a plan?
Life's got a way of showing you what your next move's gonna be.
Season 2 of Sullivan's Crossing. Only on CNC3.
Parents will do it. They'll go to work, have a day, bro, and come on and take that stress out on you.
Welcome to another episode of Manhood.
Everybody will do what they need to do to get what they want.
And if they can't fit in to the norms, then what they do, they're surviving.
Not everybody wants to kill me because I might be all kind of thing, but I think I'm a good person.
The aspect of a mentor seeing something in you that you can't see in yourself.
Check yourself, because you shaped that generation.
Are we losing in many ways the values?
Since I have this Parkinson's diagnosis, there's a group, a very small type group, who will always look after me.
Minister, Dr. Fuad Khan, joins me on set. I'm so happy to see Dr. Khan. You're here with me bright and early to treat with this very important talking point. Yesterday, I had a funeral director, Mr. Sin Rose, from the Sin Rose Funeral Home. He would have explained to myself and the audience that there is a particular friendly society. That's the funeral home with the contract to treat with the unclaimed bodies. And the correct area, the area designated, is a cemetery behind the Santa Rosa horse track. Now, I didn't even know there was a cemetery behind the horse track. Obviously, it was not used over the weekend there, Komoto of all places, and bodies going in at the same time, multiple bodies. If there's one thing I know, Dr. Khan, we as human beings, what separates us from the animals is that we bury our dead. You know, I would hope that everybody could at least have death with dignity, and more so that burial with honor. And what I found with that scenario, it didn't seem to follow that particular momentum and rhythm, people just being disposed like, you know, it didn't sit well with me. What's the correct procedure? Was there any breach of procedure? Because again, I mean, we look at this, this is most basic, Dr. Khan. I mean, to live your life and to just, I don't even think a coffin was used, they just put them in a bag down in a hole. What is that? Could you explain to me this scenario?
It does sound, when you put it like that, a bit perturbing to the general population. It does sound that way. Because death and burial has been marketed as an emotional thing, marketed over years. And when you have multiple unclaimed bodies in a morgue that people do not come in, families or who come in to claim these bodies, even after multiple advertisements, multiple letters, multiple everything else. The state has no other choice because of space in a morgue, refrigeration, to dispose of the unclaimed bodies. And when I searched worldwide, this is a common practice worldwide, multiple bodies in one grave, one pauper's grave they call it. Some people incinerate and then spread the ashes. However, as far as I recall as minister, I didn't go into the depths of it, but once there was no place in the morgue, we have done enough advertisements via the media. We've called and contacted whoever is responsible. People don't come in. And I want to say something. The family comes in when somebody is, let's suppose, in St. Anne's or in a social case in the hospital, take them up, let them go for their disability grants and their pensions and bring them back to the hospital and drop them there. Time to claim the body, you don't find anybody because it's a costly exercise to bury. And people just leave them there for the state to do it. The state, on the other hand, has the responsibility, one, for storage, and two, for disposal. And there are tenders that were given years ago to certain funeral homes, and they dispose of the body. Internationally, if you search, you will see that the pauper's grave does have mass bodies in it. In Trinidad and Tobago, there's no incineration in a public place except the St. James and those places. And you do one body at a time. It could be time-consuming. Maybe this is a good example that we could look at proper disposal now with proper religious functions, proper whatever, and maybe the time has come for that. Now, if you understand something...
But the thing is to put these multiple bodies in a shallow grave. I mean, one could
It's not really shallow, it's the normal 6 foot.
6 foot, because, and I'm saying is that...
It should be deeper because there's multiple bodies.
Well, 6 feet from multiple, because I know 6 feet normally is for like one body.
Yeah, those things could be looked at because nobody really looked at it in the past. It never came to the light, but it's not an illegal act that's going on.
So why are people arrested? Because I'm trying to figure out, you know, there's this big investigation.
Of it.
But so how does one even get, so I, clearly the funeral home, from what Mr. Sinrose, again, I'm being guided by his counsel yesterday, he said that the Friendly Society are the ones with that contract. Could they just, is it that the NCRHA or whoever will contact the funeral home, or do they? Because I know, you know, the funeral business, they have their own culture. They literally, They're waiting for bodies.
It's also an unregulated system. And I see Mr. Belgrove over the years came to visit me as minister. We're trying to regulate the funeral system.
To bring a level of a structure?
Proper association, a proper structure. Because anybody could set up a funeral agency and go for bodies. It's not something that is regulated. It's like I'll go medical now. It's like a lab in Trinidad and Tobago. Anybody can set up a lab without any accreditation.
But you're not supposed to be like a certified person. You go to school to learn how to embalm and to treat with the body. I mean,
maybe they have one or two people who worked in a funeral agency who set up one.
Okay. So
it has to be regulated.
Okay.
The whole system needs the regulation to be disposal properly. But if you search internationally, and you will see that it's the same thing that goes on with the disposal of mass graves, paupers graves they call it, after a universal prayer is done. And also you have, as I say, advertisements. I searched, in fact I searched last night, and I saw that the North Central Regional Authority had a long list on an advertisement of unclaimed bodies, and they were trying to get, and had the names, the sex, the gender, everything, about everything. So it's there. It's something that's ongoing.
I think what kind of touch people too, and also Mr. Sinrose was able to explain that yesterday, would have been the infants now. What he would have explained, stillborn, children who, I guess the emotional trauma for the parents, the child never made it, babies who were born before their time, the fetus, whatever the case, they sometimes also go to the morgue unclaimed. And they and all too would have been in the mix here with the adults.
But it's bodies, it's dead bodies, and they have to dispose of them somehow. So a lot of the children stillborn, as they say, premature, everything, the parents take the bodies and they bury them.
So parents can claim the stillborn baby?
Yes.
So the ones who leave the baby is just, I guess, they just
don't want to have, they're done.
They don't want to deal with it?
No.
But through your years in the practice, most parents would take the body and give the baby a send-off?
Yes.
Okay.
I've seen it happen quite a lot of times, that a baby died before term, after term, as they say, stillborn. The parents do take the baby and they have a normal funeral procession.
A send-off, yeah. I mean, this is just one of those things where, for me, Dr. Khan, I've always found that if it's one thing in this country, and I mean, you're a well-traveled man, we have seen how the reverence that's given to not only sending home ceremony, the funeral, but where people are laid to rest in the U.S. and other parts. You see the well-manicured lawn, you see the benches. It's almost like a botanical garden setting. In Trinidad, we have razor grass to negotiate, goat, cow.
100% what you just said there. If you've been to a Latin American country, when I went to Margarita, and Panama and those places.
I saw one in Buenos Aires.
You'll be surprised how they treat the funeral,
the graveyard. It's like a house.
It's amazing. Yeah. And in Trinidad, it's like dump and move. But that does mean to say there are regional corporations who are responsible for taking care of the cemeteries. And they don't, I mean, when you see the overgrown bushes, etc. there, do we really have that level of feeling and emotional outpouring for our dead people and bodies?
Yeah, and that's why I started.
So when you see this, mass graves found, mass bodies and graves, you start to think in our climate. Only people dead. Who killed them?
You're going to a dark place.
Yeah, you say, and is emotionally, you say, where more people, and you start to think crime.
You're emotionally charged.
Yes.
And this made international news, you know.
Of course, I saw it in BBC.
Yeah, this made international news, and it's just...
Because the way it was presented.
Yes.
How it is presented, I don't want to chastise the media. Sometimes the media needs to sell papers, and they are sensational. And they get a front page headline, but in other words, yes, it's good, yes, it's bad. However, I know in certain countries, and I'm not going to call no names, when I was studying there, they made sure that they suppressed certain parts of headlines so they could get the tourism going. You know, in Trinidad, we tend to be carte blanche. And it does make international news when you see 55 bodies found in graves. It is a stain.
In the seconds that remain, Dr. Khan, what can be done to ensure that this never takes place again? from administration level, from the NCRHA level, from the RHA levels, because this is not just NCRHA. This could happen anywhere, and of course they just used Komodo at the time, and it just became this, this wow moment. What could happen to ensure there is at least a send off with honor for the unclaimed?
What could happen is that the religious bodies should be contacted by, let's say, put a committee together that work with it, the religious bodies, so that they will then take the unclaimed bodies. Of course, the state will have to pay them some grant, and they will bury the bodies based on the religious rites.
Yes.
You don't just say, hey, go. Bury.
You think anybody should be held accountable for this? Is there any?
Not necessarily, no. No, I don't want to say anybody.
There should be no dismissal, because I'm seeing people are in charge. I guess it was just...
it's just people doing what has been done over the years. However, it's come to the front. Let us take it up now and deal with it and put a proper system in place.
Any closing remarks? Any seconds that remain?
Glad to be here.
Always good to see you.
Right,
Dr. Khan, pleasure. Look like you're with your scrubs. You're going to deal with it.
Going
to deal with it for the work one time. Yeah. Dr. Fuad Khan, was a pleasure. That's the man, Yes, he can.
Yes, he can.
Yeah. I remember I know that song. Dr. Khan in the building as we make our way going up to the 7 o'clock hour. See you after 7.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry. Premier insurance coverage for less.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. That's big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop 2021 Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Pleasant Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958. Looking for a smart way to grow your savings? For just a limited time, the Trinidad and Tobago Police Credit Union is offering competitive fixed deposit rates of up to 4%. That's up to 4% guaranteed. When you invest with PCU Fixed Deposit, visit any of our locations in Barataria, Arima, San Fernando, or Tobago to get started today. For more details, visit policecreditunion.com or call us at 6124-PCU. PCU, your future is safe with us.
Struggling with blood sugar swings, high blood pressure, or stiff joints? Take control with Aja Nutrition's powerful wellness trio. Berberine Plus supports healthy blood sugar. Blood pressure support helps keep your pressure in check. And Joint Aid keeps your joints moving so you can stay active every day. Don't wait. Choose Aja Nutrition for trusted, effective solutions. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Feel better, move better, live better with Aja Nutrition.
Connection is reliable, credible, and authentic. Thank you for trusting me to bring you the news. It's a privilege to be in your homes and hearts. With every story and every newscast, CNC3 is keeping you informed and inspired. When it comes to news, we are where you are.
This is more than just music. This is where you find the best of TNT. This is more than just a vibe. This is where Bollywood gets a twist. This is more than just energy. This is Bhangra and indie pop too. This is the mix. This is the life. Lock on or log on now. Sangeet 106.1 FM. This is authentic East Indian radio. This is us.
Time check. Brought to you by the Central Bank and the National Financial Literacy Program.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Jesse Ramdale with headline news here on CNC3 and the TBC Radio Network. Questions have been raised at a joint select committee about whether the Rural Development Company is drifting from its original mandate after data submitted by the agency shows that 209 of 302 projects between 2023 and April 2025 were located in urban areas. The figures were drawn from RDC's submissions to the committee and came amid scrutiny over the absence of any formal definition of what constitutes rural communities. Government Senator Anil Roberts challenged officials on whether this reflected an imbalance in resource allocation since the RDC's establishment in 2005 to support rural development. Permanent Secretary Peter Mitchell said Cabinet expanded the RDC's mandate in 2018 to include all 39 constituencies and that no reversal has been made while a draft rural development policy remains unapproved. An argument ensued after Roberts described PNM constituencies as urban and UNC rural, prompting objections from Lopino Bonner MP Marvin Gonzalez, who accused him of introducing political considerations into the proceedings. The committee also heard that the repurposing of $158 million from a $200 million loan facility contributed to curtailed projects, cash flow constraints, and delays in implementation.
It sort of curtailed the projects at the time. When the new board came in, they had a balance on that loan of just about $2 or $3 million, which they are using to pay staff at this time. We got from RDC a projection of their operating expenses to the end of this fiscal year. That was submitted to the Ministry of Finance, and it is under consideration.
In other news, San Fernando business owners say fears growing over the breach of the municipal police station and the theft of dozens of firearms. And while police have recovered at least over 30 weapons and stepped up raids and patrols, many say the incident has shaken their sense of security. Businesses opened as usual on Monday, but the mood remained tense, with some owners now questioning how long they can continue operating. One jewelry store owner says crime has pushed him to the brink and he plans to close his business by next year. President of the San Fernando Chamber of Commerce, Kiran Singh, said the incident should never have happened.
It's a somber mood, and for obvious reasons. This murder has really hit us in a very negative way, but we still have business to run because we have to pay workers, we have to sell goods to maintain our families, and of course to pay bills. So businesses are running, but the fear factor is there that how late can we open? What happened yesterday should have never happened.
And an autopsy conducted on Anusha Eversley, the woman police corporal attached to the San Fernando Municipal Police Station who was killed on Sunday, has found that she died of strangulation and was not shot. During a press briefing on Monday, Police Commissioner Alistair Guevara also confirmed that a 16-year-old is among 6 persons who remain in custody. In relation to the theft of over 60 guns and 4,000 rounds of ammunition, the Police Commissioner confirmed that 38 firearms have since been recovered, along with over 900 rounds of ammunition. Guevara maintains that the investigation remained top priority. He also confirmed that the TTPS will be rolling out measures to prevent any recurrences.
The TTPS has thus far successfully recovered 38 firearms, 1 MPX submachine gun, 1 shotgun, 1 revolver, and 35 pistols. Additionally, 929 rounds of ammunition have been retrieved, comprising 900 9mm, 10 rounds of .38 caliber, and 10 shotgun cartridges.
Well, those were 7 AM news headlines. We'll have another news update at 8 AM on the TBC Radio Network.
Welcome back to this, the second hour, another action-packed hour ahead. And yes, we continue with that conversation on crime, criminality, and its impact on families. We have seen yet again another child becoming a victim of violence and crime, and her name, Jelana, really bright child, star that never had a chance to really shine. And I recall the young man too, who was 11 months old, the baby, the infant, young Jaden, I think his name was. He was with his dad. That unfortunate circumstance that took place a couple of weeks ago, Dundonald Hill, I believe, upper St. James. So we find ourselves asking some serious questions, and Dr. Randy C. Prasad is here to treat with this from through the criminologist lens and the impact on families, and more so where we are right now as a country. Because yes, I'm concerned. I'm a parent. Every parent, I think, that's your greatest nightmare, Dr. C. Prasad. But I wonder if this is another one of those scenarios where we are so desensitized that, we hear the news, we feel shock in the moment, but the majority go on to their daily routine. It's only, unfortunately, if it ends up in your garden that you really feel the impact of this particular development. And I wonder where we are going as a country based on all that would have transpired, not only this year or last year, but in the years leading up to this most crucial moment. Good morning, as always, Dr. C. Prasad. Great to see you.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. So you raise a really important question. I would not like to think that we are desensitized. And, I'll give you an example. If you look, you mentioned two examples there. If I take you back to the incident that happened with the little child in Tobago on the jet ski very recently, that garnered a lot of public attention. And I think that even a lot of people nationally streamed into the funeral. I myself looked at it as well. And it's deeply troubling when a child loses their life, but I dare say that every life is precious. We can't look at it only when a child loses their life. It's deeply unfortunate when anybody loses their life to violence. And over the years, it's in the tens of thousands when we look at the murder statistics, when it comes to persons who have lost their life. And we should never simply look at these as numbers. It might be numbers on an Excel spreadsheet, but every single one of those events, whether it's an adult or a child, is an event that is filled with trauma and hurt and sadness at a level. And you're right, I think we don't appreciate it if it doesn't fall right on our doorstep. But if we stop for a moment and we start to think about what that possibility looks like or might feel like if it actually happens to us, then I think it will move us to action. And we have to see it in that kind of way, that every single life is important. And we might not be able to stop violent crime altogether, but if we never reach the point where we simply look at the crime statistics as merely numbers, then it really should hopefully move us to some very serious action as a nation to do something about the problem.
Well, Dr. C. Prasad, I guess we can't really get into the mind of these hardened criminals, but I know there would have been a time where even the hardest of the hard would approach someone that they see as an enemy, their target, and if there's a child or children around, they will hold their hand and rally back for another day. We find ourselves now where the criminal elements, some of them knowing a child is in the vicinity, in the car, in the bedroom, in the case of the father, in his 20s, and his son who was 11 months. I mean, you shoot through a window, you must know, there must be some understanding that a child is there too, and the child also perished. So I'm trying to figure out how we've come to this dark place. Is there any studies on why criminals or how criminals get to that place, and what happens to those who are held, who are actually, if indeed the system and the investigation is able to bring us to a suspect? From what I understand, when they go in prison, they have to keep them away from the population, because even the hardest of the hard do not appreciate the fact that you have just killed a child.
And you are really, you're hitting something on the head there, a nail on the head there, and you're spot on, because it's something when you look at the crime landscape, you see it changing. There was a time, and you're really right, there was a time that even amongst criminal gangs, there were certain unwritten things. For instance, certain people that you didn't interfere with. You didn't interfere with the elderly. You didn't victimize them. You know, I don't even want to call that a code of conduct, but you see all of that changing. You see people breaking into the homes of elderly persons who, as it is, can't defend themselves, could barely move, could barely walk, but yet you're beating them into, you know, an inch of death. And you have to ask yourself, you're already in the person's home. You could get everything that you want. They're not opposing you. They don't have the strength or ability to oppose you, but yet you want to beat them to death anyway. And, you know, the same applies, of course, when it comes to children. You have to wonder, you know, because I don't know if it's evolutionary or whatever, but it's so deeply ingrained, you know, in persons generally speaking. When it comes to children, there is a very, very strong protective instinct. If you see a child in trouble, it doesn't have to be your child. I think generally speaking, the majority of persons would simply automatically rush to help that child. And it's extremely worrisome that we have reached a point that we have some persons for whom it simply will not matter. You want to get at a person and a child is away, you shoot through the child as well. And, you know, maybe I'm an optimist, but maybe I want to hope that this kind of person who is capable of doing something like that, you know, is still the exception rather than the rule. But you keep seeing it coming back and coming back again. Yes, we can try to get into the mind of the perpetrator, and yes, we understand that in some cases there is a level of hatred and a level of psychological turmoil and even to the point of mental disorder, if you will, that has developed when it comes to persons who are, you know, deeply embroiled in violence and are deeply violent. But, you know, it's at a whole different level when you're talking that a child in front of you doesn't matter. A life of an innocent child doesn't matter. That you know, maybe you kill that child and after you go away and you laugh because for you, you've done what you set out to do. You've got the person that you aimed for. So it's deeply, deeply troubling that something like that can happen.
Let me ask, does this speak to any kind of foreign influence? And I'm not casting any blame on any one of our neighbors, whether they're from the region or our neighbors down south, but I see sometimes certain crimes, certain developments. I'm trying to figure out if this is Trinidad and Tobago under world culture, if this is an influence, because we have seen where, like, let's say the Sinaloa cartel and other foreign designated crime groups, the way they treat with their enemies and the brutal manner in which they treat with those who they deem as again, their arch nemesis. It's a bit different to how we treat with it, and some of what we're seeing here, I wonder, you know, if there's any kind of, where's this coming from?
So, you know, my best guess is that it's both international as well as local, and what has changed the landscape a bit, maybe significantly as well, is the, you know, global access that we have to information through social media. And really it has served to desensitize persons. So for one, it has served to expose us at a level that is very graphic and immediate to the kind of violence that is happening worldwide. And you're certainly right in terms of what happens in Mexico and Colombia and other South American countries with the cartels. We see the level of violence, and perhaps for some people, I don't know, that represents something to aspire to. But at the same time, I think part of it is local, because when you have a situation like, let's say, gang violence, and it is left unchecked, and you don't try to get at the psychological roots and the trauma that is happening with the people who are engaged in these things on a daily basis, including young persons growing up in these communities, it will, you know, inch by inch, it will start to escalate over time, because, you know, one side shoots up the other, you kill somebody or some persons, then the other side, they want to come back and retaliate, and they want to outdo you. So it's almost as if it's a competition driven by hurt and psychological trauma.
And the cycle of violence, continues.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Let me ask Dr. Sipasad, as it pertains to what transpired in South on Saturday night into Sunday morning with WPC Eversley, and you know, we're still trying to make sense of that, and the Prime Minister would have given her perspective and said it's betrayal, more or less, I guess paraphrasing that from what we're seeing it might, we don't want to obviously prejudice the investigation, but it seems that certain players who are intimately and know what's going on in the station might have been involved. Now, what message does that send to the wider public as we look on the national security apparatus, a place that's supposed to be ironclad? And without, when you think of a police station, that's a place that's supposed to be one of the most secure places in any part of the world. What's the messaging, and how does the TTPS and the security apparatus really shift the conversation to bring it back to that place, I would imagine, of normalcy when we consider stations and these operational buildings?
Right. So indeed, it creates a very, very bad impression. But the first thing that I want to say is that, at least in my mind, I see this as a very isolated case. When you look at the municipal police, when you look at the TTPS as a whole, and the municipal police, mind you, is different from the TTPS, things like this don't happen often at all. They are one-off isolated incidents. So the first thing I want to say is that while certainly it looks very, very bad, and it is indeed very bad, we cannot cast aspersions and cast a shadow on the municipal police as a whole. And I will say, for the viewing public, they may not be aware, but the municipal police receives the same training that TTPS officers receive at the academy, in addition to which they also do a specific module catered towards policing at the municipal level. They undergo as well the same vetting procedures that TTPS officers undergo. So in terms of the background checks, drug testing, they use voice testing as well in lieu of lie detector tests and so forth, but they go through very rigorous vetting procedures. So by and large, I would say this is an isolated event. I would say that the public should be very, very careful about casting any aspersions, any negative aspersions at all to the municipal police as a whole because of the illegal actions of a few individuals. That's the first thing I would say. You would see as well, you ask about what the TTPS should do. Now, the TTPS has been very decisive in its actions and very, very quick. Within a span of 24 hours, as the Minister of National Security promised when he first spoke on the issue, there were results. They had already apprehended, suspects. They had already recovered some of the stolen items, etc. So there was very, very quick and decisive action, and it speaks to, the resolve, the determination, the level of efficiency of the TTPS. So I think that the TTPS is actually already doing a very good job of, remediating that particular situation and showing the public that something like this is something that would be met, in a very, very serious way and will be dealt with very, very seriously. So I think once the TTPS continues along that trajectory and they do what they're supposed to do, and indeed they are doing it, that by itself will be the messaging that is required for the public to reassure the public that by and large, that aspect of the security apparatus as it pertains to the police is something that they can count on, and something that is still as pretty much ironclad as it should be.
Indeed, because the local saying, who will guard the guards, something I've heard since I've been in khaki pants and tall socks. And I've seen under the SOE that the TTPS, they would have put some of their members in. They've had the detention orders for some of their members. I'm seeing also a prison officer would have been sent in, people who, based on their intelligence, might be going beyond the call of duty and associating themselves with shady characters. How do we really weed out and really cement within the whole security apparatus, from Coast Guard to Customs to police to everyone who is charged to keep the country safe? How do we treat with that in a really intentional way and really ensure that we have the best and brightest and those who are there to execute what they would have signed up for, and you sign up to protect and serve with pride. But if you go beyond, you have to get dealt with. How do we ensure that that is the gold standard?
Right. So what we have to do is look at factors before, during, and after the recruitment of persons. And I dare say that there is a lot that is already in place. So when we talk about before, we are talking about proper screening procedures, vetting procedures, training procedures, that by the end of it all, when you do permanently recruit somebody into one of the protective services, you have somebody that is properly trained, that properly has the mindset, that comes with no criminal record, etc., into the service. While you're there as well, you have to have systems in place, systems that, for instance, allow whistleblowers to come and share the information, systems that will deal with it very effectively. For instance, the Professional Standards Bureau within the police service, the Police Complaints Authority, etc. You have those systems in place backed by suitable legislation that will enable the entities that are supposed to deal with transgressions, within these agencies to give them the power to do the investigations that they need, to collect the intel that they need, and to prosecute if necessary, to bring things to the DPP so that action could be taken. And of course, even when you do have transgressions that occur, you need to have very, very clear consequences. And I would even dare say you publicize it widely as well, so that it sends a very, very clear message, one, to the public, that these kinds of engagement in corruption and so forth among the protective services certainly will not be tolerated. But at the same time, you send a very clear message within the rank and file of the organizations, that transgressions of this nature, corruption, etc., is something that is going to be met decisively with very serious consequences. So you really set a gold standard that's almost ironclad.
Let me ask you, Dr. C. Prasad, do you believe the TTPS, and I guess mainly the TTPS, and by extension those who are under the national security apparatus, should they be subjected to polygraph testing? And do you know of any jurisdictions that's the gold standard and you have seen particular results? So again, should TTPS officers, and by extension those under the umbrella, be subjected to random polygraph testing?
Right, so that's a very good question. And officers are actually subject to polygraph testing when they come into the service, but not necessarily after. And I will tell you, it's a very controversial thing because the research on polygraph testing is a bit mixed, right? It's not foolproof. And one of the things that the research has consistently pointed out is that while it does indeed have its uses, it can produce false positives. And the way it works is that it is based on physiological reactions, bodily reactions like skin conductivity, etc., which you really can't control. And the premise behind it is that if you're lying under a polygraph test, that the device is able to detect some of these physiological changes which you really don't have the ability to control. But the problem is that, as I said, false positives, people could be nervous or other things that affect the instruments in such a way that it says that you're lying, it says that you're lying when in fact you're not. And it's because of these controversies surrounding polygraph testing that you will find that there is a lot of pushback when it comes to agencies wanting to use polygraph testing simply because it's not a definitive means. So while I hear what you're saying, both locally and internationally, there has been a lot of pushback when it comes to using it for officers in the service. But I will take you one step further and say that there are other things that are more definitive than polygraph testing. Let us say drug testing. That is something you should probably do on a fairly ongoing basis. If you do random drug testing, it means that officers know, okay, I can't use illegal substances. They're going to pick it up in my blood or in my urine, right? Things like financial checks. The FIU, for instance, has the power to look at the financial accounts of people, including officers in law enforcement agencies. So if you see somebody, let's say on a policeman's salary, but they're pulling in, hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars a month, that's a red flag right there, right? So there are other things that are much more definitive than polygraph testing, and I would certainly be supportive of using those other more definitive things on an ongoing basis.
Dr. C. Prasad, sincere thanks as always. All the best, and we will touch base soon.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Same. Dr. C. Prasad, criminologist, touching base with us. We take the pause and we come back. I believe our conversations, with the Digipreneur is next. Karen Rose, have no fear. The Digipreneur is here. Karen Rose next.
Step into ABC Doors and Windows, where quality meets variety. Discover premium wooden, steel panel, fiberglass, and steel security doors alongside aluminum, UPVC, and steel windows designed for strength and durability. At ABC, we're always a better choice, delivering products built to last and service you can rely on. Visit our showroom at 1 Chancatrace, El Socorro South, or call 638-7184 to make your dream home a reality.
Let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
Have no fear, the Digipreneur is here. Karen Rose, he joins us from Thailand. It's been quite a while, my brother. Karen, was the latest, man? I mean, it's been a long time. How things?
Yeah, man. You left me when Jamaica. You know, Kijan was holding it down, causing trouble on there.
Yeah, man. Much love to Kijan, man. But indeed, I'm back. I'm back in one piece. I'm watching you online, giving some advice from your infinity pool. I still look at Karen living his best life there in the high rise. You know, yeah, man. You know, on a nice budget too, because what you have told me is that the cost of living there is way less compared to other parts. I mean, based on where you're living, if that was, let's say, in Miami or in probably LA or Toronto.
Oh, 10,000 US one time.
Wow.
10,000 one time.
So the life of the digital nomad. You're doing your thing, man.
Yeah, man. So it's definitely been good. And I mean, in that video that you're referencing, you know, the whole point of that video was just to let people know that, you know, being in Asia and even other countries like Latin America, there are some strategic benefits to early stage entrepreneurs. We know that when you're building a business, one of the first things is you have to reduce your expenses. But it's hard to reduce expenses when you're living in a lot of countries because cost of living is just high as a baseline. So using places like Latin America, Asia, certain parts of Europe, because the lower cost of living affords you the ability to scale down and reduce your expenses, you don't have to compromise the quality of life.
Indeed, well said. Let's treat with today's talking point, fundamental AI courses. When can one go to really get into the basics and probably move up a notch to, I would say, close to expert level?
Yeah, so this is if anybody is looking at getting into the world of work today, and if you're looking at getting into jobs that are remote in nature, or you're starting to look at opportunities abroad, one thing that 2026, one of the biggest changes of this year has now been, now that I'm in Asia and I'm seeing more companies here, across the Asia Pacific region, in 2026, a baseline, when you're looking at job descriptions, Jason, for the first time, you are now seeing companies list out which AI tech stack they are using, what AI applications, how they use it. And companies in the Asia Pacific region, they're not asking you, if you've dabbled in ChatGPT, because typically the majority of us on the western side of the world are still using ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude as a glorified version of Google. We're just going in there to ask questions and we're getting information. But in the Asia Pacific region, the jobs here are now listing out the skills in AI that you need to have and be able to do the job. So we know that we are behind a bit. This is a signal that if the most forward-thinking region in the world, if the jobs over here are now demanding as a baseline, just like how typing was something that over the years became a baseline skill, AI fluency and AI skill sets is now a baseline skill over here. Jason, if companies from Asia Pacific were in the Caribbean right now, who could they hire if they're looking for people with the AI skill sets and we haven't built that capacity up as yet?
Karen, how soon you think the West will start asking for that as a prerequisite?
Well, I would say you're going to start seeing U.S. companies. That's going to be a baseline this year. Just start paying attention to a lot of the new jobs that are coming out, and you're going to start to see that make its way into the West. Because, like I said, this year is the first year. It's only April. This is the first year I've started to see AI as a skill set is now being listed in the job specs, and they're breaking it all down. So I want to give you guys some courses to get started, because these are courses that are going to be able to give you not only the certifications that you could post on your LinkedIn, but forget the certification. The most important thing is do these courses to learn the actual skills, because here's the second part before I tell you the courses. The second part of this is, even when you get the interview with these companies out in Asia, they are requiring you to fully explain and break down your entire thinking. Remember in mathematics in school where they said to show your work? The companies over here are asking you to show your work and break down. Show us a portfolio. Show us what you can do with the skill set. So the course certifications is not the end goal. The end goal is the knowledge and learning how to use them. So I'll start with this. The first big one, and all of these courses you can Google, all right, and you can go and do the courses. The first big one is called Elements of AI. So Elements of AI is a course that's going to give you a baseline starting point. If you have absolutely zero background, this is going to get you right into the AI mix to understand exactly what it's about. The course is called Elements of AI. The second course I'm going to give you is Microsoft's Generative AI for Beginners. So this is on the Microsoft Learn platform, and this is going to help you understand how modern AI works, including tools like ChatGPT, how to prompt, and how AI fits into real business workflows. I'll start you off there, Jason. If you want to say something, jump in.
No, I on my phone, I go and log in on one time. What are you telling me about? What are you telling me about? You talk about that, you talk. I log in one time.
No worries.
Yeah, I want to learn. What are you telling me about? When you talk partners, I have pen in hand, I'm taking notes. So you go right ahead, partner. I inside.
So I know where time is limited. Yeah. So third course I want to give you is the Open AI Academy. So you're going to go to Open AI Academy. They have all of their resources, their courses, their workflows, their documentations. OpenAI, so this is the parent company of ChatGPT. They have an entire academy teaching you how to use ChatGPT, workflows, processes, everything. That's on the OpenAI Academy. That's a huge resource. That's 3 courses. Amazing. The fourth course I'm going to give you 5 to go with, all right? The fourth course I'm going to give you is the Meta Blueprint Generative AI course. This is for the Meta suite of services, Facebook and whatnot. And that course is going to show businesses how they're using AI in marketing, customer support, and operations to improve their efficiency. That is Meta Blueprint for Generative AI course. And the 5th course I'm going to give you is the Claude courses. So if you actually go to Claude by Anthropic, if you go to their website and you look, or just Google Claude courses, Claude has an entire library of courses, workflows, documentations teaching you how to use Claude, how to build AI, how to build Claude skills. These are some baseline courses that you can do to get the ball rolling in the field of AI, so you have a good understanding, you understand how it works. And again, that's a starting point, because from there, you can start getting into some of the other AI courses as well.
Well, let me tell you, and you're actually having to answer some questions here as you load up the course. And this is, as you would have rightfully said, AI will not replace folks. It's really those who do not know the AI are the ones who will have to sit on the bench, and the ones who are proficient, who are equipped with the knowledge, could use it now to advance their particular skill and goal. And again,
absolutely.
And we go back to what's happening in the East. It clearly, from what since you've been out there, I'm seeing in real time, lots of stuff happens in the East first, and then it kind of makes its way to the West. So clearly, the East. They say the sun will always rise in the East and set in the West, right? It seems like that is how it's happening now with the tech and the knowledge.
Listen, and I don't think, and maybe we'll talk about this next week, right? Because I really want to address just how, when we think that we're not too far behind, it's usually because we're looking at the U.S. as a benchmark, and we're saying, man, you know what? With a couple of changes here, there, we can be right there with them. The problem with that is the U.S. is not leading the world in most categories. We're not looking at the world leaders as to where things are going. So now that I'm on this side of the world and I'm seeing how artificial intelligence is used as infrastructure, like for example, the traffic lights here are all built in with AI. So they're assessing how many cars are on the road and when to turn green, AI is part of the infrastructure in Asia. So we're not talking about it. It's not just courses anymore. It's utility. That is how far away we are. And I was in an event yesterday inside of True Digital Park, which is this massive ecosystem, this business ecosystem. They have an artificial intelligence institute right in that ecosystem park. And there was companies from Taiwan that came down. They're in the financial technology space. And every single company that was breaking down what they do, me and another guy from Trinidad, shout out to O.C. Phillips. O.C.'s here with me right now. We went to the event, and nothing that we saw presented, nothing could come to the Caribbean as is. It would take about 15 to 20 years to change laws, infrastructures, everything for these companies who are operating right now to even come into our region and operate. We don't understand how far away we are right now.
Well, Karen, I want to thank you as always. Great information, and obviously, folks can check you out. They can email you. They can check out your social media page to get more details. Karen, all the best, man.
And I'll say this week's Guardian, if you want to get a recap of the courses, check out this week's Guardian on Thursday. In the Business Guardian, my column this week will be on the courses we just spoke about.
Give thanks, man. Great information as always. Pen in hand.
Take care.
Information on phone. We're good to go. All the best, Karen.
Take care. We'll talk next week.
That's right. Digipreneur Karen Rose. Always informative, impactful conversations. Up next, Dr. Basdio joins me. Conversations on cancer. And we're going to treat with alcohol and its link to cancer. A very important conversation ahead with Dr. Vasant Basdio. See you soon.
Hi, I'm Devin.
And I'm Alex from BMW Trinidad.
And today, we're going to show you the new BMW X1, our compact luxury SUV that combines versatility, modern design, and that unmistakable BMW performance. The X1 delivers a commanding presence with its sculpted lines, enlarged kidney grille, and athletic SUV proportions. Inside, the cabin is spacious, refined, and crafted with BMW's signature attention to detail.
The X1 is available in gasoline, hybrid, and fully electric configurations, offering a powertrain that's perfectly suited for every lifestyle and driving preference. To experience the BMW X1, visit us at La Faz Motor San Fernando.
And come and test drive the ultimate driving machine.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488 or visit our website to order.
Always a joy to have Dr. Vasant Basdio with me on the line. We have such frank, open, honest conversations. And today, I must say, Dr. Basdio, it's going to be one of those interesting ones because I know many might feel you're going to burst a bubble this morning. I mean, we are treating with alcohol and its link to cancer. And the reality is alcohol in this Twin Island state, Trinidad and Tobago, it's been romanticized. It's been part of the fabric. It's been mentioned in songs, mentioned on film. It's a major component in our biggest festival, which is Carnival. Everybody will testify that they have their favorite watering hole after hard week's work. You know, I really look forward to the conversation because this one is always very touchy, and you know, people and their sips. It's almost part of I guess the fabric of Trinidad and Tobago. And I look forward to your counsel this morning.
Yeah, Jason, always a pleasure to be here and open, frank conversations. We try to break it down so the Trini person out there sitting by the bar in the rum shop could really appreciate the conversation. Because, listen, I don't take any pride in wearing this jacket this morning. Even to go to my own family and friends and have this conversation is a tough one. And always remember, we as physicians, family doctors especially, we are here to really share the evidence. We are here to see what the latest studies are showing. And let's be real, Trinidad and Tobago. Let's have a really sobering conversation about our relationship with alcohol. Now, you rightfully said, Jason, this thing goes back. We know the history that brought us here to these shores, and it is one of great tribulations and trials. So we, as natural, we turn to things to help cope, help manage those terrors of the past, that increased stress that our forefathers would have faced. So when I look at this whole relationship that we have in Trinidad and Tobago, it's really one of a culture of how we use alcohol. So I always say we don't have a drinking problem in Trinidad, you know. We have a relaxation problem. We have an alternative problem. We have a vice problem. Because when I really ask patients, Jason, why you drink alcohol? Or the problem is not drink alcohol. The problem is misuse and abuse alcohol as well too. Many of them would say, well, doc, you know, without alcohol, I can't have a good time. I need at least 2 drinks before the conversation starts flowing, before my moves on the dance floor start grooving. You know, and that's the reality we face here in Trinidad and Tobago. So for the common man listening out there, the thing is, alcohol is now categorized in the same category as asbestos, as formaldehyde, as tobacco, in terms of cancer-causing risk. So it's a difficult one to swallow, and especially in a country where we go hard, you know, we go hard on the track and field, we go hard on the cricket field, but we also go hard in the watering holes. This is something we know. And one of the ways I have been approaching this personally is that instead of just trying to tell people, look, flat, black and white, alcohol is the end, is to at least start exploring our relationship with alcohol. Do we really have that 1 or 2 drinks on an evening after work? Because the thing is, although the evidence now suggests that any amount of alcohol is a danger to your health, we respect an individual's, desires and wishes and these things. But we have a serious problem in Trinidad and Tobago called binge drinking, Jason. And you may know this when we line in with our partners and stuff like that. It's like to make up for that long, hard week. On that Friday and Saturday, we have a culture, a tendency that I must clear down the table. The table must be filled, you know, with bottles and as a trophy.
It's almost like a badge of honor for some people to show that they could drink out a case. And they have the bottles there on the table. And you see it all the time by the watering holes, or as we say, the hawk and spit bars. So my thing is, okay, so moderation, we know what the binge is, but let me just go back to moderation for a moment. What is a moderate drinking routine? How could we strike a balance? Take a sip, but at the same time not damage ourselves.
Right, so there's a hard one to hear this statement, because now, unlike cardiovascular health, the risk is not like a curve where you do a little bit and the risk is low, and then the more you do it goes up. It's actually a linear risk with alcohol. So it means that as physicians, as the recommendation is that there's no safe amount of alcohol consumption when it comes to cancer risk. And the evidence is now unequivocal for at least 7 types of cancer. Breast cancer, which is the most common alcohol-related cancer in women, colorectal, liver, esophagus, mouth, throat, and your voice box, your larynx. Now, the thing is, when we look at the data here, there's a STEP survey that came out recently, Jason, and it shows that between 2011 till the 2024, when the last one was done, there was a serious increase in the number of women, the percentage of women actually currently using alcohol. And we are seeing a high rise in the levels of breast cancer in women. And the science behind it is that alcohol is really a risk factor for breast cancer, particularly in our women. And just here in Trinidad, that surge in our women drinking alcohol is something that we need to really work on and figure out what is driving the women to become heavier drinkers and users of alcohol there. Because just for the persons listening, alcohol is broken down into a chemical called acetaldehyde, which our body cannot process. It cannot absorb, it cannot use it, and it damages the DNA in our cells, and that prevents your cells from repairing and causing damage. And especially for female listeners, alcohol increases estrogen levels, and this increase unopposed estrogen levels in your body is a direct risk factor for breast cancer. Now, to come back to your point, Jason, about what's a safe amount, as I said, there's no safe amount, but as physicians, we always take the second best. We always advocate for what's best. So if you do indulge in alcohol drinking, we do recommend try to, 1 to 2 drinks in a setting. Pace yourself. Skip having that next drink. Replace it with a coconut water, with a soda. There are mocktails now that are as enjoyable in terms of taste as alcohol. Most patients I speak to, including myself, the taste of alcohol is not something we truly enjoy. We just do it because it's a social thing, and there's a lot of peer pressure involved with it. But that binge drinking, that heavy episodic drinking culture in Trinidad remains a serious cultural challenge here in Trinidad and Tobago, because it's normalized through the Lyman culture, because as you said, it's like a badge of honor that, hey, we and the boys, our table at the spot, we were able to fill and drink out a case, drink out this, and we really have to have a sober thought and conversation about our relationship with alcohol. Yes,
so every community where there's that uncle by the rum shop who you know since you're a little boy, and you turn a big man and he's still there beating the alcohol, and he seems to be standing strong, he's not staggering at all. I mean, these guys cut from a different cloth. I mean, how these men still are wrong after all these years?
That's a great question, and here's the answer to that, because it's something that bothered my mind, because it's like, how can I tell someone, look, you need to stop that smoking, ease up on the alcohol, and then you have Uncle Joe and Uncle John drinking and smoking, and they're in their 80s and these things. But Jason, bet your bottom dollar, if you go into that lifestyle of that individual, they would have done things that are very, very also confounding to increase their health and well-being. So their genetics may have been different. They have probably led a very healthy, active lifestyle as well too. And you see, the thing is, we live in a modern world where we are more sedentary, and this now is becoming a lot of poisons now are becoming more potent because we have less cleansing and less stress relieving, less physical activity in our lifestyles here. So just recently, there was a Caribbean Alcohol Reduction Day, and the experts there, including professors from the University at St. Augustine, Professor Mirage and his team, they were advocating that, look, we're not saying no and zero and stuff, we're saying, look, policies, the same way we approach tobacco, where we advertise alcohol so liberally in this country, and to the young person there who is 18, well, now we know that might be changing to 21, they are being bombarded with this normalizing of alcohol as a coping mechanism. And like I said, Trinidad, we don't have a drinking problem, we have a relaxation problem. When you ask persons why they drink, I drink to be relaxed. I drink to socialize. And if we develop a healthy relation with alcohol, because the thing is, apart from cancer, the health damages that alcohol ages you way faster than you can imagine. It is one of the most, people into anti-aging. This is pro-aging. It accelerates your aging, your graying, your skin. It affects your liver function. It affects your blood pressure control, your cardiovascular health. So not only is it a risk factor for cancer, but in general, alcohol, the abuse of alcohol especially, is something that we really have to pay attention to here in Trinidad.
Dr. Basdio, we have to continue this conversation. It's a very important one. As always, great to see you. Thanks for the great counsel.
Yeah, so anytime
we keep it real, we have to keep it real.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
All the best.
All right, Jason, take care, and all the best, Trinidad and Tobago. Stay healthy.
Dr. Vassan Basdio, really brilliant medical professional, and he keeps it, as always, 100. Gives us the advice is ready for us now to take heed and to do the necessary adjustments. Thank you so much, Dr. Basdio. When we come back, we want to take some calls going up to the 8 o'clock hour. Let's open the lines and touch base. See you soon.
Here and your garden's ready for a glow up. The Vega Garden Center sale runs April 24th to May 3rd. Get 20% off all plants, soil, pots, and fertilizer at both our San Fernando and Grand Cooper branches every day, including weekends. Whether you're refreshing your balcony, revamping your yard, or creating a jungle indoors, we're talking bougainvillas, ZZ plants, calatheas, a wide variety of crotons, orchids, bromeliads, palms, herbs, ground cover, and more. The Vega Spring Sale. Let's grow something beautiful together.
Let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
This town isn't as safe as it used to be. You remember that laundromat that burnt down? We offered protection, but they refused.
So you're telling me that if I pay you, you'll protect me from... Gentlemen, I think you've been watching too many cheap American soaps.
Westwood Park, Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. only on CNC3.
I'll try to get at least 1 or 2 calls in, but as always, our housekeeping, I must treat with that to just remind you ways to contact us to book your spot on the program, tmb@cnc3.co.tt. That's our email address. Let's head to the social media handles, Instagram, Facebook, and X. Take a note and stay on top of the news. You could also do that with the CNC3 mobile app, your #1 source for verified breaking news and all your favorite content on demand. And the Trinidad and Tobago Guardian, certainly a beacon of democracy, a legacy that is beyond measure. If you're doing something for 180 years, I think you know what you're doing. Yeah, so that's the legacy on the shoulder that we stand on. Of course, you can visit guardian.co.tt for more. Let's head to our food for thought. We may encounter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. You never lost, It's always a lesson. There's never no loss. You only lost when you lost when, that's it, when they call it the late XYZ, when you take your final breath. But once you're here, you must have your wins, you must have your lessons, never a loss. You learn, you recoup, and you keep it pushing. Let's check in with Sigoni for our weather update. Sigoni, good morning.
Hi there, I'm Sigoni Mohammed with your daily dose of weather. What we're seeing at this time across the islands is shallow pockets of low-level moisture and cloudy patches that's going to be moving into the region. What that means for us is that while conditions remain hot, hazy, and slightly breezy, we will see some patchy clouds rolling in across the islands, especially across western portions of Trinidad. We could see some showery activity, which could become heavy at times. That's in terms of the downpours and the intensity of it. Still steamy across the general area, and don't forget we have a mild concentration of Saharan dust present in the atmosphere. So if you're thinking about heading offshore with all of these steamy conditions, well, you're doing so under some better weather. And with no spring tide in effect, smoother sailing as well. Waves are approaching 1.5 to 2 meters in height in open waters, near 1 meter within those nearshore sheltered areas, and winds will be coming in from a northeast to easterly direction. So not too bad over the next couple of hours as we take in your highs and lows and we head into the end of this forecast. That's a wrap, and that's it from me.
Sincere thanks, Sigoni, for giving us the latest via our weather report. Let's open up the lines. Faizo, I'm standing by. Yes, I hope you're feeling better today, Faizo. I know when we were talking last week, your voice seemed to be like you was going through the end of a little cold there. Are you feeling better, Faizo?
Yes, but recouping.
Excellent, man.
So, you know, it was nice to know that I would have seen Mr. Marvin Gonzalez and this morning the opposition leader confessing and repenting for the failures of the past 10 years. You know, because, you know, I heard them identifying all the ills of society. And they had 10 years to fix it. Unfortunately, they didn't. And it started with the removal of Mr. Griffith. I remember Mr. Hines saying in Parliament, his job is not to fight crime. His job is not to fight crime. That's the job of the police. I want to give you a snippet. I want them to give us explanation on Mr. Baliram Maharaj's position as the Arima mayor. Yes, and I want to remind Penny that they were the one who closed on Petrotrin. CPAP were reeked with corruption, which they are now trying to put in place. So, you know, it's glad to know that the employees are now, you know, reporting for the non-performance, and they should be now in the hotspot areas of their constituency, especially with that of that little baby, going to the people and making appeal. The whole of the PNM should be up in Morgan Lavantil this morning, trying to appease the people and get them together. I mean, they're failing in every facet, and all they're doing is complain. They had 10 years to fix it, and they didn't.
Faizo,
I'm sorry, my brother. Have a nice day.
All the best, Faizo. Thanks for touching base. We'll talk again tomorrow. Let's take one more. Diego Martin is on the line.
Hi, good morning.
Morning, Diego Martin.
Good morning. I'm calling from Diamond Vale, actually. We have a serious problem. Water. We have too much water.
Hold on, you have two. So, hold on, you have two. I've never heard of too much. You have too much water, is it?
Well, okay. There are some people with no water in the tap. And this is on the fire drive. Water has been gushing down the street in drains.
Oh, so there's a wastage, there's a broken line or something? Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
This has been happening for the past 2 years, but now it is gushing.
Okay.
Water gushing. We were thinking of having a river line.
Give me the exact location again in Diamond Vale?
Sapphire Drive.
Sapphire Drive. All right. I'll take it on note. Thanks a lot. Because when she said too much water, I say was what? Too much water in the taps? So that was an interesting one, but apparently there's a broken main line at Sapphire Drive. So for those in the space, whether it's the corporation or well, obviously WASA, let's treat with that because there are areas, parts of Santa Cruz, parts of St. Joseph, all over where there is no water, so we can't have the wastage. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a great program, very informative today, and God spare, I'll be back for more tomorrow. Until then, have a safe and productive day, Trinidad and Tobago.